Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet, as ESGNet presents Sports Gamers Soapbox Talk Podcast here, and we are at episode 12. Yes, we are going strong here. We're in our 12th episode here today, and we got some news to talk about this week, as there's quite a bit going on here in the last in the last 2.5 days, 3 days or so. You had, over the weekend, now since last weekend, you had the big UFC fight. You had UFC 200, Brock Lesnar going against Matt Hunt. We got news on that match, and also, it was a great fight. I didn't actually see the fight live or anything, but I did watch some highlights of it. And he looked pretty impressive. A lot of good buzz about it. But at the same time, there are some backlash, some controversy going on with that. And that's going to be one of our big topics here tonight, here on the show. Also, we got the MLB weekend, or I should say MLB All-Star game this past week. We had the Home Run Derby. We'll talk about the Home Run Derby and the champ. Also, we got the All-Star game itself and talk about the MVP of the All-Star game, who... I hate to admit this, but he's really becoming one of my favorite players right now in Major League Baseball. He's actually, I take that back. He's been my favorite baseball player for some time, but now it's time for me to come out of the closet and admit it now, I guess. I don't know. We'll talk about the MVP of the All-Star game. Also, we will talk about a retirement that happened over the week, too. We have Tim Duncan, after 19 seasons, says, "Adios, I'm leaving." And it was tell you about that and how that news broke. And also in pro wrestling news, you got Battlegrounds coming up. You got the big SmackDown live Tuesday night show going to be starting off. And this past week, we also had the WWE Cruiserweight Classic, and we'll talk about that. So a big week in sports, not to mention you got the ESPYs, which was very, very impressive. I was flipping between that and the All-Star game there, and it was tough. Trying to watch the All-Star game, I got really into it, and I realized, oh snap, I gotta go back to the ESPYs. I gotta see what's going on. So I'm going to talk about some of the things I've seen, I've heard about it. Mainly a lot of things I've seen that I can actually say that I was really impressed with. We're going to talk about all that and more this week here on the show. Plus, we got a couple of news and notes we're going to talk about when it comes to other things that haven't been making news here as big as maybe it should be or shouldn't, or whatever the case may be. So let's go ahead and get started off on the gridiron first, as we're going to get into some news and notes. First off, it's Von Miller. Von Miller just recently found out he is going to the bank, and he's going to be cashing in a huge payday. Von Miller of the, of course, Super Bowl champs, the Denver Broncos. He has recently just signed a 6-year deal, estimating over $114 million. Yeah. Now, $50 million of that is guaranteed money. He's definitely got a nice payday coming for himself. Of course, he's going to have bonuses and all that kind of stuff for doing things within the within those 6 years and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Maybe I'm going to put a poll question up. I want to know if you guys. Is this a good thing for Von Miller? Should he deserve this or not? Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about that. I honestly think, he's been impressive. He was really impressive all season long with everything that was going on with the Broncos, and of course, Peyton Manning drama and stuff. He was very impressive. I mean, that was, a lot of people say that was a Super Bowl for Peyton Manning, but really, truly, I think that was really a Super Bowl for the defense there. They had a really solid defense that really helped complement to Peyton Manning on times where Peyton Manning was not doing so well. There's quite a few times that they were just not with it, especially that game where Peyton Manning was benched. They came out and helped the offense out by playing some really good defense and shutting down the opposition. So let me know down below in the comment section if you guys think he should deserve it or not. I'll even put a poll question on here and just kind of get the idea, just kind of get the temperature of you guys and what you guys think of what's going on with that. Let's see what else is going on this week. Let's go ahead and let's get into what else what's going on. Don't want to get into too much too fast. I guess we'll go ahead and get into the NBA. Big NBA news. As you know, I think we mentioned this last week here on the show that just been crazy here in the last 3 or 4 days, really, or I should say over the last weekend up to this coming week here in the NBA, as there's a lot of free agent talks, a lot of teams moving around. Of course, the bad guy of it all right now is no other than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant recently signed with the Golden State Warriors. He's going to be playing with them next season. Now, it's only a 2-year deal with a second year being an option by, I don't know if it's a team option or if it's a player option for Durant, but it's an option. They can either release him or he can, I think also too he can ask for a trade if something he decides not to be there after his first season. So that is pretty much the what's going on with that. Then we turn around, we heard that there was rumors saying that D Wade was going to leave the Miami Heat, and then within hours of that being said, or at least I think the next day, it was announced that he was leaving the Heat and he was going to the Windy City. As of course you all know, Derrick Rose left. He signed with the Knicks, and of course that organization is trying to rebuild themselves to be a juggernaut like they were back in the late, in the 80s and early 90s there. So Melo has now some players there to help him out to get over that hump and try to get into the playoffs. Then there's now rumors saying that there could be a possibility, and this hurts my heart really bad, because he's one of the 2 players down there that I love, and I really hate to see those 2 break, to go their separate ways. But of course that happened. Durant went to Golden State, and now there's talks about. And I don't know if you guys can correct me or not. Just leave your comments down below. I haven't really checked it yet, but there are rumors saying that Russell Westbrook, excuse me, I'm trying to say that tonight, Westbrook, that Russell could be leaving the Thunder's organization and going off to Boston, as Boston has an eye on him and could possibly try to get him by way of, I believe, a trade. So, there's a lot of moving pieces going around. Not to mention, I think, I want to say Dwight Howard. I think he was in the news too. Him possibly leaving. And I can't. He did leave actually. He went to, I believe it was the Hawks. Yeah, it was the Hawks. He left. He's down there. I think that was a 2-year deal. But he's also, there's also a lot of people saying that he's been really adamant about his contract with, with that organization. I guess he was on a long-term deal. And I guess it's not going that way. I think it's like a 2 or 3 year deal. Not sure how much money, but looks like it could be a thing that he'll be down there, and I think it's pretty much legit now. So we'll have to see how that fares coming up. But yeah, the story of the week of the NBA, of course, was Tim Duncan, and what a diva! I'm telling you, he is such a diva. Out of nowhere, just the middle of the day, there was a press announcement saying that there was going to be a press conference. Or actually, no, it was not a press conference. It was, well, I think the Spurs had a press conference later on with Pop and the organization did. But he left a letter to the Players Tribune telling everyone that he was on his way out the door, that he was no longer going to be a part of the NBA after 19 seasons with the San Antonio Spurs. And he is definitely, I'm telling you guys, he is one of the last few guys out there that have stayed with the team from the beginning to the end. You don't see that too often. I really want to say that we have not seen guys like this, or I think that when we start seeing guys moving to teams to team up with other guys and play with other players, which I think I said this last week or in a previous episode, don't have no problem with it. Just as long as you don't burn your bridges with the team that got you started and whatnot. But yeah, there are so many teams that are so many players that have moved around. So to me, a lot of times it's really confusing to know who's on what team. I had to really go up online and look them up and say, okay, they're with them now. Okay, well, how the hell did that happen? And like I said, I don't follow NBA as much anymore. And I think now this year, with all these changes, with players moving around, stuff like that, I'm going to try my best to try to keep up with it and talk about it whenever there is something really cool to talk about. But this one I had to say something about, because Tim Duncan's one of those players that I really been a fan of since his days in Wake Forest. Really impressive, real soft-spoken guy, and he did a lot of his talking or smack talking really on the court, and it wasn't verbally saying something, but it was just playing the game as it is, going out there, giving his all, and showing people what he can do. And of course, he played with the Admiral, I believe, the last season that David Robinson played. They won a championship for him, and of course Tim Duncan is a 3-time MVP winner, and he's got several championships, and he's always been just kind of the guy behind the in the back, just doing what he does. And far as I know, never had any kind. As far as that I know from just recent history, he has not had any issues with the media, with fans, with his organization, or with other players. So he's one of those guys I really want to give an applause to. Just thank you so much. Enjoyed watching him play games. I wish I was able to see him play. For the ones that out there, you guys, if you've seen him play, that was a really one of those. I mean, not the best player in the world by any means, but a guy that he knew how to win championships, and took the time and helped the organization build what it is that we know today. So. But it's a sad day, but it's also, I guess, a good day. And now San Antonio, of course, they have Aldridge now. They can build on to that team and continue on. Their winning ways. Still have Pop there, and of course, I think he's going to be there till he kicks the bucket. So yeah, but it's a great honor seeing him, and I never got to meet him in person, but he's one of those NBA stars that I wish. If I ever get a chance to meet or get a chance to interview, I think it put a big smile on my face, because he's always one of those guys that just, he's just a laid back guy. I mean, maybe he's not like that, personally or at home or anything, but on the court, just a gentleman, and play the game like it's supposed to be played. Just being himself, and not saying those guys that get all crazy and wild and just smack talk on the field and not being themselves, but just being honorable about it. And I congratulate him and his family, and I wish him the best. Hopefully, maybe we'll see him doing some comments, some analyst work or something like that. That'd be really cool to see. But I think he'll be the type of guy. I think he's just gonna mosey on the sunset and just live his life and just do whatever he. I mean, I can't remember what he went to school for there in Wake Forest, but maybe he'll go in for some kind of profession or whatever he was studying when he was in college. So, but yeah, thank you, Tim Duncan, so much. 19 seasons in the NBA, and what a career he can definitely say he had there in the National Basketball Association. Let's move on now to let's move on to Major League Baseball. As over the past couple of days, Major League Baseball, we had the Home Run Derby and the American National League All-Star game. The MLB All-Star game was this weekend, and this past week. I shouldn't say weekend. It does feel like it's been a week since we've seen any baseball, but really truly the last time we've seen baseball was Sunday. So it hasn't been that long. We had, Monday, the All-Star, or the Home Run Derby. Tuesday was the All-Star game. Wednesday, they had a day off. Thursday, I think they had another day off. I think they had 2 days off and back to back. And then Friday, they went back to resume play. And, of course, now this is the time where a lot of teams have to make a decision here if they're going to make it and go for it all. And to do that, they're going to have to, excuse me, shoot, thought I was going to drop that. I have my remote here right next to me. But no, there's a lot of teams that, got to make a decision here if they're going to put in all their chips into one pot and go with the team they have. If they're in a unique position with playoff push, if they can, use the personnel they have, or they have to make some trades to bring in a guy, or get a player and trade in exchange for cash, or trade a prospect, a future prospect that they want to keep, but the only way they can make the good push to the playoffs and then the stretch here is to get rid of that great potential player they have in that prospect, and then try to get a veteran that it's red hot right now, that has a career that they want to try to get to the playoffs and try to do something with a team that's in contention. So there's a lot of things going on, and then of course we'll have a trade episode about that, special on that here coming up, and I'll try to keep up on the trades and everything like that here in the next couple of days, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trades coming up here. It usually happens with, I think last year, it happened like a week before the actual trade deadline. There were so many trades going on, and teams just trying to capitalize on when's the best time to go after an individual. But let's go ahead and talk about the All-Star festivities. Kick it off Monday. They, of course, had the Home Run Derby, and you got Stanton, who just went berserk in the first round. He hits 24 in the first round by himself, and I'm just like, wow, they have 5 minutes on the clock, and then they get some bonus time, and it seemed like it was just one after another. He was just hitting them out of the park, and I'm just like, what the hell? This is crazy. And last year I didn't get a chance to see the Home Run Derby as much as I did this year. Last year I caught the tail end of it, and I seen that Frazier won it. But I like the new way they've done it, the new format and everything, and it's something I think that they need to keep. This will keep fans interested in it, and along with the good, fun competition between the players, and it's just something I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy, and I honestly enjoyed it. It was fun. Carlos Stanton, he just, amazing, just an amazing player. He ends up winning it there, so he is the new 2016 Home Run Derby champion. But also one of the things besides the Home Run Derby itself, but one of the other things that they did, I think they announced it, but they didn't have a ceremony until the actual All-Star game, or I don't know, I might be wrong or something. But they had they announced that the NL Batting the NL Batting Championship Award goes to one player from the National League player who had the best numbers when it comes to batting. They're going to rename it, and they're going to rename it as the Tony Gwynn National League Batting Championship Award. And I thought that was great. I really did. I thought that was super cool. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys know your baseball history or whatever, but Tony Gwynn is one of those players that just, he did not, as far as I remember, he never got to the promised land, that being the World Series. I think one time he did, but I don't think he's never won, I know for sure. But he is one of those players that should have gotten a championship in his career. He had many MVP awards, several batting titles. He was a king of batting titles for the Padres there. But he just never, he was one of those good guys that just was just always falling short. And, of course he's known, I believe one year he hit 400, he was near 400. And he's got a good guy. And of course we lost him a couple years ago. Was it about 2 or 3 seasons ago? And as a fan, watching baseball, he was one of my favorite players that I really enjoyed watching. When I was younger, I kind of mimicked his and King Griffey Jr.'s batting stance when I was in Little League. And I just enjoyed watching him, seeing him play baseball. I mean, he was such a, he's a round-shaped guy, but at the same time, he could hustle, and he was just good at, putting that bat to the ball. And, of course now, a lot of fans want to a lot of people want to imitate what he has done and everything, and it's tough. You fail, 3 out of 4 times of a bat, and but with Gwynn, I mean, he was something. He was something special. You guys ever get a chance, watch some old footage of him playing baseball, see some of his interviews and stuff. I know his son plays baseball professionally, and he's not like his dad or anything. I mean, he's got that same personality like his dad or anything, but his doesn't have that special it that his father had. But he's a good guy overall. But yeah, I mean, just if you see any of his videos on YouTube or anything like that, watch it, or see his look at his interviews and some of the games he's been in, and just a beautiful swing. Just doesn't put too much into it. He wasn't a home run hitter. He did have pretty good numbers in home runs, per year, but for the most part, just a great fluid. Just his skills with that bat was just so awesome. And so I'm glad that they're doing that. That's something I think a lot of people, especially in San Diego, are willing to do. I think this was perfect for, host, having that the All-Star game there being hosted there and doing that in his honor. Of course, he has that huge statue. I think it's in center field. I think they always show it in the at least for me they do on MLB 16 the show. Anytime you play in San Diego, they have that statue of him out there, and it's a beautiful statue. And San Diego is one of the cities I'm hoping to go to here for my birthday here coming up, and I definitely want to go to Petco Park and check out that stadium and check out that statue of his and everything. But yeah, but overall, I think it was just great for the Major League Baseball to do that and honor him. So congratulations to the Gwynn family on having that great honor there. We'll move on now to the All-Star game itself. And what a game it was. I thought it was a pretty exciting game. Of course, I'm a big fan of I'm a National or American League guy. My Boston Red Sox, and of course, on the other side, you got my Cardinals. So anytime you're seeing these guys play and from those two teams, or just seeing the All-Star game, just period, I think still I like the idea of who are play the game. Fans. I mean, yes, fans want to see their favorite players to be on the field, but at the same time, in some ways it should be an exhibition game, but in other ways, there needs to be something they're fighting for, and I think still, fighting for that home field advantage, it works out for a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of teams that benefit that if they, especially if they do well at home. If they have a better home record, they can start off at home on a hot streak. Take the game 2-0 and go on the road for the next 3 there. I think that I still say that it's still important to play the game, but there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, it should be exhibition. It should be, it should be just playing the game for the love for the fans and everything." I think the fans, overall they like it the way it is, and I don't think they should change it. But the Kansas City Royals, man, woo! You had Mr. Eric Hosmer hit a home run, and then you had, I believe, Perez Salvi hit a 2-run shot, making it 3-0 real quick. Until they later on they scored another run, making it 4. And 4-0, and then NL came back. They scored 2 runs, and the final score was 4-2. Your player of the game and the MVP of the 2016 Major League Baseball game, Major League All-Star Baseball game, no other than Mr. Eric Hosmer. He wins a beautiful truck and also the new award they got for the MVP, which is I believe it was a glass bat or a crystal bat. It was really nice, really, really nice. And of course, Eric Hosmer, took that home back to KC to show the fans and whatnot. I think that's pretty cool. Really cool to see that. And honestly, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, he is becoming, or I think now he is, and take that back. Okay, I'm going to come out of the closet here. I'm not a Royals fan completely, but I am a fan of his. His more and more. Him and Salvi, I'm just seeing them, the way they talk and about their teammates and they what they do on the field and stuff like that. I'm becoming a fan of theirs so much. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Royals fans, you guys got a good team. Still got to work on some things. Right now you're kind of in a weird spot because you're. I don't know. Last year you were. Oh no, last year you were pretty much dominant in the Central right at this point. But you're a couple games behind the White Sox and the Twins, I think. You still got plenty of time to improve yourselves and whatnot. But that whole I'm gonna jump on now. A buddy of mine was kind of giving me some crap about it. I'm like, no. The day I wear Royal stuff, I'm a witch. It's not happening. So, but no, congratulations to the Royals and I should say congratulations to Eric Hosmer and to the American League for winning that game. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. And we look like we're going to move on to let's talk about the big night. The same night as the All-Star game, you had the ESPYs were live in Los Angeles as this is the night of sports, the award ceremony honoring the men and women in professional sports, in soccer, baseball, football, basketball. And of course now Olympics coming up here, so you got some Olympic stars, of course, that were there, and people from the world of entertainment there. John Cena was the host, and honestly, I will say John Cena actually was a pretty decent host. If you guys know me from my past videos and stuff like that, when I do wrestling videos like that, I'm always dogging on John Cena, and a lot of times he does deserve it. Sometimes I'm just, I just got my underwear in a bunch. But anyway, John Cena was actually doing a very, very good job of hosting events, and his monologue there was kind of it was kind of racy. It was kind of a lot of tongue in cheek. It was kind of borderline like, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. That's not something to joke about. The one thing I did like from that ceremony, of course, there's other things that were going on within the ceremony, but one of the things I really enjoyed from that was the joke about sports is really similar, or they say that wrestling's fake and all this other stuff, but in a lot of ways, professional sports and professional wrestling have a lot in common. You got a good guy, and of course in the wrestling world you got John Cena, and then in the of course they use LeBron as the guy that was a good guy, and then turn around bad guy when he left Cleveland, and then when he returned back to Cleveland, he was a good guy. Of course, Miami, he was the bad guy. He won the championship down there, and then finally, just this past season, won in Cleveland. With that being said, there was, and then you had other things. Amongst that was some jokes about some other things. You had the bad guy right now in the NBA is Kevin Durant, and everybody's kind of like, oh, and they pan over to Curry, and Curry kind of just chuckle, but was kind of thinking to himself like, man, why are you guys gonna talk about him like that? Like that's not even right. And then you had, you had other things he talked about that was, the one I liked the best was you have manipulative, egotistical owner of the WWE, Mr. McMahon, and then they put up a picture of Roger Goodell, who is of course the commissioner of the NFL, which was hilarious. People there was a real good pop on that, and that was I really have to give a good. I have tip my hat to John Cena on that monologue there, because it was a really good monologue overall. But yeah, it was. But continuing on from that, there were some really good moments. Some really good. Of course, you had the real funny moments, and then you had your moments that you wanted to cry, and then your moments that you were just could not believe that. Just the magnitude of some of the stories they were sharing about everyday people in sports and the challenges they had to deal with. There was one story, I didn't really get a chance to it, but I know Michael B. Jordan did a great voiceover about a young man who was gunned down because of gun violence. It was a beautiful story. If you get a chance, I think there's a video on it on ESPN. I'll try to see if I can find a link on it from it. But it was a beautiful story of how this young man was just, his life was about sports and the things he wanted to do as an athlete. And I think he got the award. I can't remember the exact award. I feel bad now. I can't remember the exact award, but they gave him his family an award for just being a part of sports and then what sports did for him and his family. Not to mention, you had other great stories. You had stories like Craig's Saber. If you guys don't know who he is, Sager is a NBA commentator for Turner Sports. He does a lot of stuff with TNT, and of course that was a bit in the news a lot as he had he learned that he had cancer, and he was for a while there. He was he was gone. He was away. A lot of people were wondering why. Of course, TNT announced it, and a lot of people were like myself, were behind him, hoping that he can get well soon and get back. You hear there were stories saying he was not going to be it wouldn't be he wouldn't be able to he wouldn't be alive for too long. I think they say they gave him 6 months to live. But he's been taking chemotherapy and eating right and exercising and all that kind of stuff to be for his fighting for his life. And that was such a great story. They did a great piece on that. Again, if you guys didn't get a chance to see that, you missed out on a really good story about him and just what he was going through the year. And all the years he's been, I want to say it was a little over 20 years he's been covering the NFL. But in those 20 years or so, he never got to cover a NBA Finals.
And so, with help from people petitioning it online, and other people, you had Turner Sports and ESPN collaborating together, and they brought him onto a live broadcast of a NBA Finals game to do sideline reporting for ESPN. I remember watching that. It was really cool. That was something he was always wanting to do. Before before he died. He never got a chance to until this past year, and so it was. I thought that was really cool, and he really gave a great speech about doing something. If there's something out there that you want to do, and you have the drive and the determination to do it, you should go after your dreams, make them come true. And I say that to a lot. There was a lot of kids. A couple years ago when I was working for a tutor for a group called Upward Bound. It's a tutoring program, but it's also a mentoring program. And I always told students then, and some of the students I still talk to this day, I always told them, especially with young kids, middle school and high school, I always tell them, you may not be able to do everything you want to do in life, but if there is something you want to do in life, you need to go after it. You need to pursue it. Because if you don't, you'll always wonder, what if? What if I did did this, or what if I did that? And you don't want those feelings at all. So there's something you want to do, something you want to go to. If you get the opportunity to do it, I always tell them, do it. Get that chance, get that experience. Something you can remember. Because I know for myself, going to school, anytime there was something that doing with radio, or mainly radio broadcasting and editing and all that kind of stuff, I always took those opportunities to do that. And at the time, it was really slow finding jobs to do something like that. Until I started doing this, what I'm doing right now. I'm doing YouTube, and it's there's a young man that I actually know through YouTube, or he watches the videos here on the channel, and I learned he lives here in town, and he's been getting some suggestions from me. He's not the only one. There's several others that have been coming to me asking me suggestions and ideas, stuff like that. And I'm always picking brains of all other YouTubers out there that do this, have been doing this a lot longer than I have. There's several. If you look at the channels that I follow here on this channel particularly, you guys can do the same thing. Talk to them, pick their brains about stuff, ask them serious questions about a lot of things, what they do, how they produce their videos, and what they do for their videos, stuff like that. And if you be direct and just tell them what your goals are and what you want to do, 9 chances out of 10 they're gonna help you. Hey, I will help you. I will talk. I will give you any kind of advice I can give you. What I've learned for myself, and I say the same thing. And the speech that Craig Saber gave was along the lines of those, and it was just such a great story, such a great guy. Definitely one of those good people, especially if you're going into the world of sports broadcasting or broadcasting in general, or anything like that. He's one of those top guys that that I hope I get a chance to meet someday and get to talk to. Because I met journalists, I met other sports commentators locally and stuff like that I've grew up listening to on the radio or on television like that. And I picked their brains about so many things, about a lot of with the industry and everything. And but whatever you're going into, whatever your drive, determination, and passion is, try to fulfill that dream. Try to go out there and chase after it, and ask questions. I mean, they say there's no dumb question to anything you have. Don't ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question. So take the opportunity and seek your goals to make your dream come true. But yeah, it was just such a great story. One of the other stories that really that I was captivated by, and this is kind of one of the things I want to get on my soapbox here tonight about, is the story. What has been going on here lately? I don't want to make it a political issue. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, how you feel, but from my personal stance, everything that's going on here lately in the news about these shootings that have been happening to young black men, and just recently it was just not a black man; it was a young white male that was shot and killed by the police. And this has become an epidemic, because now what do you say now when you have a young white male getting shot by another white male? I think it was great. I think this is what we need to see more often from athletes. And some of you guys may disagree with me. That's fine. You can leave all your comments or your rude comments or whatever. As long as they're if you're gonna leave a comment, make sure it's articulate very well, and you have some kind of backing or proof or whatever. And please be critical about it. Show both sides. But I think, honestly, that if these athletes, if you have a platform, whatever sport you're in, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever, that's your platform. And for the first and foremost, I know back in the day he said he was not a role model, and now I think he regrets saying that, because he knows he is, regardless if he doesn't want to be. I'm talking about Charles Barkley, when he made that comment back when it was a couple of years before he retired. Some athletes do not believe they're role models. They believe role models should be someone that you look up to, that besides a sports figure. And it's true. That I do agree with. It should be someone. If you have an uncle or aunt or someone that you want to, if they live a good life and you see that and you want to mimic that, that should be someone that's putting their lives in a positive direction, and not just for themselves but for others around them. But first and foremost, I'm sorry, athletes out there that disagree with this, but you guys are role models, hands down. I don't care what you say, you are role models to a lot of young men and women that watch you in everything you do, everything you say, mimic everything you do, mimic everything you say. Now, yes, are we human beings? Yes, we're completely human beings, and that's what being human is: being learning from your mistakes, learning from one another. But one of the things I people really just irk at me is like, oh, this is just a, why does it have to be black and white? It's not a black and white issue. Well, when it comes down to the core of it, it is. This country needs to talk about things that needs to be set out on the table. I do have a few. I have a few African American friends. I have several African American friends. I have several white friends. And some both sides don't like to talk about race. Dude, no, we can't. I can't talk about that. And I always ask them, like, why not? Why can we not talk about this? If we don't get this out in front, this is the more things like this are going to happen. And going on saying this, and what I'm trying to get to is, you had to D Wade, Carmelo Anthony, CP3, and LeBron James, who, and people have been dubbing this as the Brotherhood, but to me it should be. It's a human race thing. It's a human rights thing. It's a human being thing. Shouldn't have color, with the exception of when people are upset because people are saying the Black Lives Matter group is making this as just a black and white issue. In some ways it isn't, but in a lot of ways it is. And for me, I can only speak as a black man. I honestly think that there are people out there are racist. I don't care what color you are, you're racist. There are people that are racist. In some ways, we all have a little racism in us. Some of us don't speak about it, some of us do. Some of us just doesn't like the way how a certain race acts. And it really true. And when you factor it all down, everyone has those same kind of problems in every race you're in. So we'll just put that out of the way. But when it comes to the Black Lives Matter issue, it's because if you realize you've been looking here in the last year, or actually no, 3 years now, many of these young men that have been getting shot and killed by officers have been black men. And to me, I think I said this before in another video a couple weeks ago here on the show, is that why are we going to lethal force when we're arresting people for minor traffic incidents? I know I recently watched the President Obama thing, which was just the other night. I believe it was on Thursday night, and there was a guy on there, mixed race. His father was white, his mother was black, and his father taught him how to properly, when you get pulled over, how to let the officer know that you're non-threatening. And I actually watched a video of his, and people on that video, and of course you always got morons that are gonna say ridiculous stuff that don't make any sense. They just want to put their just want to come out and just blurt out the first thing that comes to their head. But yeah, they were saying things like, "Oh, well, why should we be doing that? Why should we have to act a certain way when you're getting pulled over by the police officer? And why has to be only us blacks?" And well, to me, honestly, it should be like that all across the board. Don't care what color you are, and if you get it, I might try to see if I can find a link or something to it. But when I watched it, I'm like, wow, that sounds like things I've done in the past to avoid having the cop be suspicious about what he does, because being a police officer is a tough job. You don't know if you're going to be able to come home, after your shift, because anything can happen, and cops have to have their head on a swivel. And at the same time, pulling your gun out every single, on somebody. I think I said this before. If you're going to use a weapon, you better you better use it, because 9 chances out of 10 your own people get killed by their own weapons. And that's a clear fact. You can look that up anywhere. The majority of people getting killed are getting killed by their own weapons, by their own firearms. But yeah, I understand what these Black Lives Matter groups are saying is because, it seems like that, it could be the minor traffic incident or whatever, and you just pull your gun out and just start firing it, and then you realize, well, he doesn't have a weapon. I have a couple of friends that are police officers, and they tell me, they're trained. A lot of them say they were telling me that a lot of these officers that have been in the news here lately, by the sounds of it, they have not been properly trained on using their weapon properly. It's just they, freak out, and first thing they grab is their gun. And I always ask them, I was like, why didn't they? What was the purpose of having a non-lethal weapon if you're not going to use it? No, you have taser guns. You have, mace and spray. And I understand, and then of course he went on to say, every cop has to have that. It's a judgment call. Every scenario you can think of, there's going to be different ways of how you handle it. And I totally agree with that. I believe in that and everything. But a lot of these guys should have never been gunned down. They should have. If you're going to detain a officer or a suspect, an officer should be using non-lethal force. I'm not a proponent for guns. I don't like them. I don't even like BB guns. I get nervous when I see people with BB guns and stuff like that. And that's just another video for another day. But as a black male, I'm wondering to myself, I'm becoming an endangered species. It's troubling to see, other black men get gunned down. And regardless of what they did, yes, if they've done some, heinous crime, no one deserves to be murdered. No one needs to be, shot, shot down. Especially if they don't have a weapon or they're non-threatening. And of course, a lot of these guys were non-threatening. Several were non-threatening, have a weapon on them, with the exception of what happened down in Dallas. Now, yes, I will admit, down in Dallas, that young man, there was a lot of things wrong with him. I fully believe that he had mental issues. He was in the service. I don't know if it's been released yet or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised he has a little PTSD because being in the war and and just being in the military in general. But I think, and another thing that gets me is, how did he get a weapon like that? Why again? And this just keeps going. Why do we not have tougher gun laws in this country? And that was something that they were saying. I know I'm kind of going off my tangent here and whatnot, but going back to what the players were saying and whatnot, I think this is something we need to see more athletes doing. Not just it's just not a black thing. It's not a black and white thing. Players of all backgrounds, of all sports, if they have a passion about this and they want to see change, honestly, use your fame, not just for what you do on the court, but what you can do within the community. And there's a lot of players out there that I know you guys know, and I know that do a lot of things for the community. Not just, and I'm not saying the community that they race community. I'm talking about the community as a whole, everyone. There's a lot of players that do that, from year in to year out. It's not, I know a lot of teams are now kind of doing more community-based stuff. They're adding that stuff to their contracts and stuff like that. And it shouldn't be forced upon them. If the guy doesn't want to do it, they don't have to do it. That's fine. But there's guys out there that really believe in trying to make a change in the world by using the platform they use, their platform, which is them being a celebrity of some sort. If it's in football or basketball or baseball or whatever. And I think what we've seen with LeBron James and those guys there, I like that. It was really nice. It wasn't, we're better than you, And people are saying, oh, they're basketball players. They don't know nothing about, they're rich. They don't have to worry about that. No, I'm sorry. Yes, they do. 10 it's 10 times worse for them than it would be if they were not a celebrity. Because now they got celebrities. Now people are not just going to be just going after them because they're black or whatever, because they're black and rich. Oh, well, you're rich, hey, well, this can all go away if you pay me off, and that makes them a target even more so. So I don't know. I got to tell my friends, it's about experiences, and if you experience of being you've not experienced that experience if you have not lived through it. I don't know what it is to be a white male in this country. Being a white male in this country is totally different than being a black male in this country. And that's the realities of everything. And I don't know. I know you guys. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think. But I think it was a great way of hopefully we can get a conversation going here. And like I said, I have nothing against police officers. Don't get me wrong. I've met some really cool police officers that have been laid back, and are not rude. And to me, it's all about your tone. Yes, you're an authority figure, but don't be like, oh, I'm the shit. I got a badge right here. I can do whatever I want with you, and da da da. Because right there, that is abuse of power. And I've seen it happen to. I've seen that firsthand. I've had that happen to me from both white. I've happened to me from both white and black officers. Or any officer really of any color. But it just needs to stop. We had that young man at Dallas gunned down those police officers. That was not necessary for him to do that at all. What was the point of doing that? Now you've made this conversation that we're trying to have even worse. You're showing them what they believe in. They're believing that stereotype that black people don't like police at all. I have family on both sides of my family, both on my mother's and my father's side of the family. There are police officers. Hell, my dad at one time was going to be a highway patrolman for the state of Missouri, and the only reason why he couldn't is because he didn't pass the eye exam. There was one time I was going to go into law enforcement. I went to college. I have a degree in criminal justice, as a matter of fact, an associate's degree. I was going to go and apply at the academy here in St. Joe, at their academy, their police academy there. But I decided that I had a better passion, I wanted a career in broadcasting. I wanted to, be in broadcasting and be in that realm of, media and stuff. So that's why the reason I didn't go into police. I actually have a friend I went to high school with. He was 2 classes ahead of me, but I still talk to him to this day about it and whatnot. And I still, when I see him, I talk to him. And his name is Dustin. He's a police officer. He does part-time here in Elwood, and then he's part-time in St. Joseph. I think now he doesn't work here in Elwood anymore, but I know he's a detective now in St. Joseph. And really good guy, great guy. He's police. I would say he's probably one of the best police officers I know over St. Joe. I know several, but he's one of the youngest that I think he's going to have a bright career in that field. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's so sad hearing all this stuff going on, in the world right now when it comes to, relationships between the community and the police. And when I say community, I mean, everybody, not just black folks, but just everyone. I know that happened. I think the incident happened with the white male. I think that just happened just a couple of days ago, so I'm not too much familiar with that. I might have to look that up. But yeah, a young white male. I can't remember the name of the state. It was somewhere in the South. He got pulled over for a routine traffic stop, and next thing you know it, they pull the young white male out and they shoot him right there. Someone catches it on Facebook. People are filming this, and now that officer's in. He's being now investigated for this. Because to me, by the way, the video. Of course, we don't know the whole story, but from that video alone, just like they say about a picture tells you, 10,000 words. Same thing for a video. That brief moment, or those brief seconds in that video, to me, the aggressor is the person with the gun, and there's no need to kill a young man over a routine, if it's a routine traffic stop. What is the point of that? And like I said, there are, just like in the world, there are bad people. People do good, people do right. People do crooked things, people do evil things. The same thing with police officers. There are good cops, and there are definitely bad cops. And we need to remember that. Not every cop's bad, not every cop's good. Not every person is bad, not every person is good. But going back onto this issue with sports, I think we need to see more sports stars step up to the plate and be proactive about things. Not just relationships with race relations here in this country, but so many other things. Right now there's a big story about women being paid equally in sports, and I think it should be that way. Look at the women's soccer team that's going to be playing in Rio here coming up. They're going to be pulling off some big numbers when it comes to ratings, but yet still get paid not even close to half of what the men get paid, and the men are losing. They're losing matches. It just blows my mind. It's like, wait a minute. Here in sports, if you're here in the United States, if we're playing sports and you do well, you get paid more. So shouldn't that be the same case for the women in sports? We do that for the men. Why can we not do that for the women? And I'm excited about seeing the women's soccer this summer. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a true blast. And one thing I was gonna say is, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I just remember that recently here, the Minnesota Lynx, they were just recently in Texas. I think they were in San Antonio, and they wore Black Lives Matter T-shirts at the game. They were playing against the I think it's the San Antonio Stars. I think the women's team down there is. And there were some officers there that were offended by it. Well, you have to realize that is their way of speaking out. This is their platform. It's not. You don't take it to heart that they are anti-police. No, they're not. They just want to let people recognize we're here. Yes, they're majority of those women are black. They have brothers. They have cousins, fathers, uncles that they need to show support to, because it could be one of theirs to be next to be gunned down by a police officer or not necessarily a police officer, but someone in law enforcement. And there was an uproar about that. There's a story on ESPN.com. You guys can check that out about that. And to me, I'm like, no, they're not. They're not showing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they see it as a slap in the face, but it's not. And that's what a lot of the girls and even the Lynx organization said it was not. They were trying to show support because there was people they knew down there that were affected by that tragedy that happened in Dallas. And it's like, no, it's not. They're not being, I mean, yes, in a lot of ways, I guess you could say yes, they're being anti, but when it comes down to it, they're not. And I think we live in too much of a PC world where we get offended by something like that. You know, we have to realize police officers. To me, it's a 50-50 thing. We need better police officers out there. We need better training. We need to have money for these stations and for these people in these big metropolis cities to have more money so they can have better trained officers and have better hours for them, because a lot of them are working 12 or more hours a shift, and that can wear on a person, And then on the other side, I mean, and this could be a whole nother video here, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but within the community, we need to work on our relationship with the police. When a police officer asks for your driver's license registration, just do that. Just be respectful, be courteous. Yes sir, no ma'am, yes ma'am, no sir. It's not that you're not treating them as you're better. You're just treating them with respect. And I think that's what we're missing a lot on both sides, not respecting either group, and we need to work on that. Because I know personally, I've been pulled over before, and I've had police officers get really rude and really nasty with me. And of course, if you're gonna be rude and nasty to me, well, my natural reaction is, well, I'm gonna be rude and nasty to you. But it doesn't have to be that way. I've also had cops that were really nice, really, honestly, true blue. Nice cops. Okay, and hey, you know what? It happens. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give you a warning. Here's a citation. You don't have to worry about coming to show up at the courthouse. Just watch your speed. Have a good night. Buckle. Make sure you're buckled up. Have a good night. Get home safe. And I've had that happen. And like I said, we just need to communicate a lot more better with each other about issues like this. And are there racist cops out there? Yes. And do we need to get rid of them? Yes. But the thing is, how do we do that? How do we get, because to me, if you're a racist cop, you should not be on the force. Your job is to protect everyone in that community that you serve. Not just person the same color skin as you. You got to protect everyone. And also, too, you got to be willing to go into those communities. And on the other side, the communities need to make sure the cops can come into those communities to solve those crimes. They were giving a lot of pretty good crime statistics there that show with President Obama, that news town hall meeting there on ABC. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, that's true. I know that for a fact. I grew up with people that lived in bad neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, like, you guys are complaining about how bad it is and cops don't want to come down, but yet you treat the cops like this. I wouldn't want to come down here. Hell, as a everyday person, I don't want to come down to this community. If you're going to act like, if that's how you're going to treat me when I come to your community to help you out, or or visit your community. So, like I said, it's a thing. It's 50-50. It goes both ways, and we need to realize that. We need to not just ourselves and not just the police, but our elected officials, people that we hold in high honor in. Our governors, our mayors, our city councilmen, city councilwomen. Everyone that has a public office needs to also step up, and we all need to get together and come up with a solution. But anyway, that was one of the things that really just really touched me the most on that. The whole show did. It was a great show. I love watching the ESPYs every year. But yeah, that was that was the thing right there that I thought that was really good to see those guys step up and talk about it. I think that was something. I wish they would have had, other athletes up there, not just the black guys up there, but maybe that was something that they needed to do, and just have a black men talk about, because it is black men getting gunned down. Let's just be real about it. All right. Let's see. But anyway, another great moment on the show there. You had Billie Jean King, who was a part of the ceremonies there. She was paying tribute to Pat Summitt. We mentioned this a couple of episodes ago. Pat Summitt passed away because of Alzheimer's. And it was a great video package they did with that, and talking about her career and what she's done for especially not just the career of her career in basketball and women's basketball, but just what she's done for women's sports in general. She has a 100. No one can say this. She has a 100% graduation rate. Name me one coach out there in the collegiate level, and I'm talking about on all and every sport, that has that. Honestly, you can't name one. And that is something that no one has ever done. Even some of the greats out there have never done that have coached this game and have now passed away. They can't say that because they didn't do it. So, yeah, that was a good video package there from her. But yeah, overall it was a great night. Your icon, SB Icon Awards, of course, went to 3 legends that walked away from the game this past year. Kobe Bryant, the Lakers for the NBA, Peyton Manning for the Denver Broncos for the NFL, and then you got Abby Wambach, professional soccer player for the the USA Women's National Team. Great speeches there they had. Honestly, just especially about and one of the things I thought was really funny was the Peyton Manning commercial. Peyton Manning, he's known writing these letters to people the last couple of years that retired from different sports and stuff like that, especially if he's friends with them. And it was a big deal because there was actual video of it. I think ESPN did a piece about his career, of what he told his brother and his mom and dad and everything when he announced his retirement, and all his other friends that he's close with. And it was basically a parody of that video, and how he was like, especially Eli, like, I got one more ring than you, and all this type of stuff and whatnot. And I thought that was so funny. I'm like, wow. I'm like, that is hilarious. Like, that's a good way of razzing at Peyton Manning and what he's done for the NFL and whatnot. But yeah, those 3 get the Icon Awards there for the ESPYs, and deservedly so. Even with I'm not much of a Kobe Bryant fan, but even he deserves that. He does some remarkable things. He's been with one team. Unfortunately, did not wasn't able to have a Jordan-esque career, but Jordan-like numbers for his career, and so he deserves the honor. And he said he's going to stay close to the NBA, and even though he's not playing anymore, he's going to try to be in the community of the NBA and work on improving the game and making the game even better, and making it even better in the international aspect of it. So I think that's good. That's a good. He's a good ambassador for the game, for the NBA. So, yeah, overall it was, like I said, it was a great show. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, I think they have it on their web. I think they might have it on their web page. If not, I'm sure they're going to repeat it again. I'm sure they repeated it several times afterwards. So if you didn't get a chance to catch it, just check your your TV guide or whatever. I'm sure they'll show it over the weekend if they get a chance to. But it was a really good show. Okay, so yeah, I know we're running over here, over the hour mark. But let's go ahead and get real quick into some UFC. Okay, so in UFC news, there is a big story, of course, about Brock Lesnar. He won his match there against Mark Hunt in the UFC debut at UFC 200. He has been in a UFC fight for several years now. But now he is back, and he was in a fight, and he had a very good fight there. A good 3-round match there between him and Mark Hunt. And of course, coming with that victory, of course, there was an announcement, a huge announcement, about Randy Orton being his next opponent for the SummerSlam pay-per-view, which will be coming up next month in August. And this is I guess it's a cross promotion between the two, because during the UFC fights they were showing some WWE ads and some pay-per-view, the SummerSlam or the Battlegrounds and SummerSlam pay-per-view coming up here. But with all that going on, days later we learn, and then ESPN broke the story that Brock Lesnar is in trouble with the USADA, that being the United States of America doping agency. They find out that he potentially could have been using some kind of illegal substance here before the big, huge UFC 200. Now, if that is true, and I'm hoping it's not true, because if it is, this is going to be a disaster for the WWE. If that is true, then he's in serious trouble, and they may end up taking that win that he got there at UFC and give it to Mark Hunt, or just it'll be a draw. It'll be a no contest or so. And this, on the other hand, looks bad on the WWE. Now, if you guys remember, WWE just recently put Roman Reigns on a 30-day suspension because they found out later on in a drug test a couple months ago that he had a foreign agent in his blood, and by the looks of it, he used some kind of HGH or something in his blood, or for his body. And so he was put on 30 days probation. Of course, that's when he dropped the title, which got a lot of people wondering why he dropped the title, and that's later on we find out that's what it was, because of the reason why he dropped the title. And of course now it's been mentioned in quite a few of the WWE shows. He has not been seen. He won't be seen until the night of the Battlegrounds pay-per-view. Now with Brock Lesnar, my question is, are they going to treat him the same way and the same punishment as they do with Roman Reigns? Now a lot of you guys are probably saying, oh no, because Brock is a part-time guy, he's not there as often, he's not wrestling as much, and this and that. Well, okay, yes, that's true. He's got a different schedule. But to me, the rules are the rules. And I think, honestly, he should be suspended for 30 days with the WWE. Now, that being said, they could do the suspension right now. He would prepare him for that suspension here for the next 30 days, because he would be back in just in time for the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And then again, too, my question is, are they going to acknowledge it on WWE TV? Will it be mentioned during Raw and SmackDown about him? Because Randy Orton does have a promo here coming up in the upcoming Battlegrounds pay-per-view, which he'll be on the highlight reel of Chris Jericho's. And my question is, are they going to let him run with that and use that as a way of getting a story line drawn up between them and heighten up the the match between the two and put some hype in there, or is WWE going to be like, oh, we don't, we're not going to acknowledge that. That's a UFC matter. It doesn't pertain to us, which in a lot of ways it does, because WWE and UFC follow the same kind of guidelines when it comes to performance enhancements. And also too, you just recently suspended one of your top guys at the time, Roman Reigns, suspended him for 30 days. A lot of people are going to be thinking this is mistreatment because you let Roman Reigns, you had to force Roman Reigns to sit out, but you're not going to let Brock Lesnar sit out, even though he's a part-time guy. And you're going to have a lot of internet fans think, hey, that's not, especially the Roman Reigns fans saying, hey, that is not right. That's, why are you not, doing that? Like I said, I think they should suspend him, see where it goes, and go from there. But I want to know from you guys. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section of what your thoughts about that is. Because honestly, I think they should, and if they do, he will be back in time for SummerSlam. He may not be able to do the promos, which is fine because he doesn't speak any damn way. Because majority of the time it is Paul Heyman doing the talking. Brett Lesnar is just there for the pop and the cheers and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't do too much talking. But yeah, that would be a way where they can, Paul Heyman be more active. He is the advocate of Brock Lesnar. Brock can sit out, because, he's probably got a contract and he's got to show up to so many Raws or whatever, SmackDowns or whatever television tapings they have for him to be a part of this for the hype for SummerSlam. And he may have to miss some, which honestly I think the only time he shows up is really like the last 2 weeks before SummerSlam or something like that. So him sitting out for 30 days, that to me is perfectly fine. Not gonna miss him at all. And if any case, if they had something already planned already for him to come back earlier and do some promos and stuff like that with between him and Orton, they may have to scrap those ideas and just say, hey, you're gonna have to sit out for 30 days and let Paul do the do these promos for you, just with him alone. So I don't know. I think if you're going to if you want everybody on the same, everybody's underneath the same company, underneath the same umbrella, everyone needs the same punishment. Because to me, this is, and that this hurts the whole idea, the gimmick, the character of Brock Lesnar. He's supposed to be this big bad man who just can do anything he wants. And yet, we find out that he's been using steroids. And you know, as a wrestling fan, if you're a true wrestling fan, you watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown religiously, fans are going to mention this in the crowd. They may try to, may not want to talk about it, but fans are going to say something about this in the crowd. There's going to be signs out, unless they don't get, taken away from, WWE. But, there's going to be mention about this some way in some kind of capacity. And I think it's for WWE, you're trying to be an honest company. You want to be, you're a family-oriented company and stuff like that. You need to get in front of this, and you need to be honest with this, and have maybe Brock come on there and tell why the reason why this he took that, And again, you can, this will benefit you. Yes, you're making him admit. Yes, you're going to go punish. You're going to have him be punished. He's going to be sent out for 30 days. But at the same time, you can benefit from this by hyping this up, just like you're doing right now with the Roman Reigns story between Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins. And I think this works for them both ways. So we'll have to see how that's going to be. But yeah, when that story broke, I could not believe. I'm like, well, that explains my, that now is that question. Does he use something? Well, I don't know. But deep down, I think everyone kind of figured, yeah, he uses something to get that big, especially in his younger career. Because his younger career, he was pretty, he's a pretty big guy. But there was a while there he was really big. I'm like, wow, like how did he get big that quick? And then you would see compare him to 6 months later. He's not as big, not much muscle mass like that. So when you see guys like that, you're like, okay, they get that big that quick. Okay, there's something going on. Like you're using something to get that big, either legally or illegally. You're doing something. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes here and see what the WWE goes along with, if they're going to go along with it or not. Finally, to wrap up the show here, we're going to talk about the Cruiserweight Classic. If you have not watched it, go check it out on the WWE Network. It's on there. You guys can watch it on demand. I believe it's for the next 10 weeks, so there's 9 more weeks after this week. There's going to be at least a couple of matches here. We're still in the first round. You got some pretty good matchups here in the first round. You have a luchador who I'm going to just mess up his name just completely. It's going to be horrible. Gran Malakak. I believe he's a luchador against Alejandro San. He defeated him. Or How Ling Lung. He defeated Sean Daivari. If you guys remember Daivari back in the day, he was both in WWE and then later on in TNA. His little brother, Ari Daivari, he's awesome. Great on the mic. He had a little bit of promo there. But yeah, he got defeated, so he's out. And remember, this is you win or go home kind of tournament. You got Cedric Alexander, who defeated Clement Perret. He's a Frenchman. Really talented, both of them. Especially Cedric Alexander. If I follow him through Ring of Honor for a couple of years now. Glad to see him, being exposed here on the WWE, and possibly have a future for him, maybe, hopefully. And then Koso Ibushi versus Sean Malone. Ibushi, a big name, huge name. If you follow Japanese wrestling there in New Japan, I think he did a small stint in Ring of Honor for a while. And I know he's been in a couple other United States promotions, but a big name over in New Japan and a couple other wrestling organizations over there. But a big name. He had some really excellent matches with Daniel Bryan back in Daniel Bryan's early days. I think they're the same age. He recently just had surgery, the same kind of surgery that Daniel Bryan had, which caused Daniel Bryan to retire. But his Ibushi's injury wasn't as serious, so he's still wrestling. But he just recently came back from that surgery there, and he looked awesome. He has some punishing kicks, you guys. Jeez. But yeah, he made the first round there. The Sean Malta, he's a cousin of the Usos and Roman Reigns. And he was pretty impressive himself. Really impressive. That family, man. Jeez, that's a wrestling family. That's a sports entertainment dynasty right there. Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, that'd be, I think WWE branded, the Usos and Roman Reigns as the Bloodline or whatever. That would be a great stable. I mean, seriously, that would be a great stable name for that family, because they have a really good, rich blood. I mean, you add Nia Jax to that. You got Rock. I mean, it's a really, really good family bloodline. Not to mention you got I can't think of his name. He's in Ring of Honor. He's part of the Bullet Club. Both of them are. They're brothers, but technically they're adopted. One is the young. I think it's Hudiko. No, Camacho. Excuse me, Camacho is related to that guy, the Rocks family. He's, I believe, he was adopted by. He was adopted by that. He was adopted. I can't think who he was adopted by. But anyway, he's part of that family. He's over in New Japan right now. He's part of the Bullet Club right now, working with them. I can't think of it. Something. He named himself after one of his adopted father. And anyway, that it was very impressive. The first round matches were very, very impressive. I can't wait to look forward to Tajiri. He's going to be in a match here pretty soon. And then you got the Brian Kendrick. He's making his return back. He had a great story of what was going on in his life and whatnot in the what was it called, the Cruiserweight Classic show they had. It was a great interview with him and why he's in the Classic and whatnot. But the thing is, I'm hoping that WWE will give whatever guys that are very impressive, give them a contract and see what they can do there in NXT. Because there's some pretty impressive guys. They got some pretty good looking guys, both physically, but also on the mic, and also and most importantly in the ring. So there's some pretty impressive guys for the Cruiserweight Classic, and I'm hoping that I think for the most part, I think a lot of people are liking this or enjoying it. Don't know what the actual, of course they have not released what the numbers are ratings wise and whatever for it, but it looks like a lot of people, at least the people I know that watch wrestling, really impressed with the production of it, and I'm hoping that it's something that we'll see every year, something like this. So maybe we can have some kind of, not just a Cruiserweight Classic, but like an international tag team classic, because there's a lot of good international tag teams out there that need to be exposed to mainstream. So that's something I think we should see here. One thing I would like to see is something eventually with the WWE. I'm hoping they'll do something like what they'll do, like a Ring of Honor, or not Ring of Honor, but like a WWE versus like New Japan kind of classic series, like a series like that. I think that'd be really cool to see. Really, get fans, because you got people like Nakamura and Tommy and so many others that are just recently been signed with the WWE and have a good fan base overseas. That'd be something that I think that I'm hoping Triple H and them are going to be looking at here. So, but yeah, we'll have to see how that all pans out with that classic. But for the most part, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun watching it and seeing those matches there. So, pretty impressive guys there, and that first 4 matches there they had. So, but that is it for this week. I know, guys, it went over probably over an hour and a half there, but there was just, like I said, there was a lot of things that was going on this week, and a lot of things I had on my mind that I want to get off my chest and get on my soapbox and talk about it this week. And that's what this show's all about. So if there's anything you guys want me to talk about, or anything you guys want to get off your chest here, you want me to to talk about, let me know down below in the comment section, and let me know what you guys want to talk about. We can talk about anything dealing with sports that's going on here, maybe even stuff that's dealing with the combination of what's going on in the world in politics and sports. I'm always up for that. Just let me know so I can do some research and get that information out there for you guys. Not to mention, you guys can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. The links are down below in the description. But again, there was a good show this week, and like I said, there was a lot of things going on, and hopefully, we don't have as much craziness as we've had here in the last 2 weeks or so. I want to say first and foremost before we go, I should have said this at the beginning of the show, but my thoughts and prayers are out to the families out there. If you guys have been affected, have any family members that are affected by what happened in France, and that tragedy out there. My thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. This is not the type of channel that we talk about this kind of stuff, but terrorism is just getting ridiculous. I mean, I'm so irritated by just a group of people that try to get their political issues out there, and they, if you're gonna do it, talk. You don't have to use cars as weapons to people, and it's ridiculous. 80 people, or I think now they confer. I think 80 people have died in that tragedy, and it's a shame. It really is, and I want to let you guys know that my thoughts and prayers are out there for any of you guys who are international people overseas that watch or listen to the show or follow my channel. I want to let you guys know that my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family if you've ever been affected by it, or if you've been affected by anything else here in the last 6 months that have happened overseas. You had a bombing in France, and then you had the Turkey incident there at the airport. So my thoughts and prayers are out to you guys, and I just hope that I don't know. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I'm hoping that we just get over this stuff. Just sit down and realize, hey, you're this, you believe in this, I believe in that. Let's just, let bygones be bygones. Just live life. Let's just live life and just let it be. But I don't think we'll ever get to that point at any time in our lives. So hopefully that'll change. I mean, it's it's not my generation tried, but hopefully the generations behind us can change things. I don't know. I'm getting sad now, and I hate being that way, especially just. But anyway, if you guys have anything to say or anything to add about the show or whatnot, again, leave it down below in the comments section. I don't care if it's good or bad, rude or mean. If it's rude or mean, I know where you stand at. You don't really, this is my personal opinion. This is how you're just a person that's just ignorant and don't know really what's going on, and you just want to blurt out the same thing. But again, you got some people out here that are really articulate, critical thinking, and I appreciate that's people I appreciate. So, but thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Again, I'm sorry I went over. I know it's probably went over an hour 30 or so more, but I just want to get that out there and just really talk about it and stuff. So, thank you guys so much for listening, and as always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.